Hey guys, I'm Voylin, and in today's video I want to talk about Human Japanese, which is an application that you can have for Android, iPad, iPhones, Mac and Windows. No Linux version, sadly enough, but you can use it on your phone, and I would probably even advise to use it on your phone to begin with. One of the things that I should mention in the beginning probably is that I am not sponsored. I know in this video I'll probably sound a little bit positive, like maybe a little bit too positive about this application. But that is because I have a long history with it, and to this day, 8 years after starting studying Japanese, I still think it's one of the better applications you can get. So first off, let's start with taking a look at their website. So basically they call themselves a Sensei in a box, which later on you'll probably notice that that's very accurate. So Human Japanese is based on the idea that the best way to learn and truly comprehend Japanese is to have it explained to you by someone who speaks your language. Core concepts are broken down in a friendly, down-to-earth tone with frequent comparison to similar aspects of English. And I'll need my reading glasses because my eyes are getting fuzzy. So they have a video. This video is old. Like I remember when 10 years ago. I remember when I tried to get the application, this was the video I saw, and that's 8 years ago. Basically they give a short explanation of what the application actually is. We won't go over that. So this is the kind of front page that you see when you go into. So fun and effective, you have the light quizzes, you have the let's sink it in. Basically, they have quizzes and some kind of like games to help you practice and actually remember the stuff that you just learned. There are two versions, so you have Human Japanese and Human Japanese Intermediate. In Human Japanese, you'll be mainly learning the kana whilst going through words and other stuff, and grammar and such. In Human Japanese Intermediate, you get more into kanji as well. Something I personally like about this application, it's old. But that's a good thing. That means all the recordings are actual recordings and not AI generated stuff. Which is very nice to have, because nowadays a lot of bad applications quickly made are coming on the market, all filled with AI voices, which oftentimes don't have correct pronunciation and such. But yeah, they have Human Japanese Intermediate, and they also have Satori Reader. I won't cover that in this video, but that is their new application. Well, new, it's reasonably new, and it's basically, if you finished Human Japanese, you should go over to Human Japanese Intermediate, and then you go to Satori Reader. The intermediate version is basically kanji. You get a lot more phrase as well, grammar as well, and in between different chapters you sometimes also have cultural notes, which are kind of nice to keep motivation up. Like that's something I really feel that they try to do a lot, is keep your motivation to learn. So let's take a look at the actual application. After you start up, first it will ask you to agree to their user agreement, and then it will start downloading everything. You can choose not to download it, but I prefer downloading it so you have everything on the go. And then you basically create a user. You can have multiple users, so if for any reason you use the same phone with many other people, that's an option. How do I close this now? Okay. And then you can also select an image, so your image is, well, different from the other users that use your phone. Let's go for some bamboo. So this is the paid version, so I will only show the amount of stuff that you have in the light version, because they have a test version. This is a paid application. The price is quite fair. I'll later talk more about the price. But they have a light version which allows you to have access to the first couple of chapters, the first couple of like stuff that you can do in the application. I'll just be covering that. Basically, there is kind of a lot to this application. If it's laggy, it's because I'm streaming this to my PC, so the application is actually quite smooth. But you may notice that it looks a little bit outdated, especially the moment that you start going more into the settings and such. It is outdated. First of all, something I should talk about is the chapter unlocking. Because when you use the application, you can unlock as you go or roam freely. Because if you really want to follow the application correctly, you should do chapter by chapter. But if you just want to quickly check a chapter ahead, you can enable roam freely. All chapters and reviews are now open to you. You will keep track of which ones you've unlocked in the background. just in case you want to re-enable this feature later, which is a very helpful thing. I'll do this again. We go to main menu. Here you have your users, preferences. You can make the text size bigger or smaller, so that's also kind of a good thing, but all the chapters are kind of broken up into different parts, and most of them they're in readable pages, readable amounts. You have the About, made in 2014 by Bragg Software. And this is something, a couple of years ago I think, I tried using this application again, but there was like a problem. Even though this has been made in 2014, they still update it when something is actually wrong with it, which is a very good thing and not a guarantee these days anymore. You have your bookmarks as well, and this is something in the beginning I used a lot, which is this. For every chapter, you can have your own notes. So, done. And then if you go to menu, bookmarks, you will see at what chapter and at what page you made a note. If you really want to remember something, you can put them in here, which I kind of find helpful. It's something as like an extra feature that it does not really need to have, but it's a nice to have. And something that they're also very good at is the whole motivation system. I talked about it before, but they really want to make you feel more motivated to study. So if you look at chapters, every now and then you will see these without any stars, which is basically kind of a cultural note to learn more about Japan or learn more about the language in a different way, which is kind of a nice extra. But then they also have this whole leveling system. So you have rank novice, level 1, XP. So you kind of progress and level up whilst using the application. The only downside is this is local. Your friends won't be able to see your level, which is kind of, it would have been nice to have like some kind of leaderboard. And another thing that you may have noticed, I talked about me creating a lot of notes early on. Well, these bookmarks are only on this phone. Because it's a paid application without a server, there's no connection to the internet to save your progress. If you uninstall it, you lose your progress. If you switch to another phone, you lose your progress. This is something I wish they would fix, like, or at least have the option of exporting your progress to a file that you can load up on your new phone, by example. But all by all, this application is quite big, like there are a lot of chapters. But I don't really see, I think you can easily finish this in like a month, 2 months. So needing an option to actually export your progress, I don't think that's useful. And also if you go through everything and you don't really need the application anymore, just write over your notes that you still want to use. Let's quickly go ahead. This is the introduction. Let's go to the first chapter, so the writing system. In the beginning it will teach you mainly the writing system, and with the letters that you've learned, you will learn words. You will have exercising on those letters. But basically you have a small little intro part and then a lot of text with fun facts and such. The lessons are very nicely made. There's really not that much to say about it. If you press on words or on letters, normally you will hear their sounds. Let's see. Are these ones? Nope. Okay, I'm not to that part yet. If there are words, you can click on them and it will be pronounced for you. Okay, so at the end of each chapter, you will have a review section. So let's quickly do that. Okay, so roughly speaking, how many hiragana characters are there? So 50. We got 5 XP and we level up. So each question has also its own meter. So the more that you do these chapter reviews, the higher this meter will go until it reaches maximum. So what is the main purpose of katakana? To look cool, of course. A better option would have been to annoy foreigners. There's actually a sound playing at all time, like every time when you press a question correctly. I don't know if my PC recorded it or not, but yeah. So final score, you earned this much XP, you unlock the next chapter, and that's how you keep going on and on. Oh, whoops, let's not try again. So let's go to the next chapter. This is a nice thing as well, you can press the characters and you will see the stroke order. Which is helpful because stroke order is really important in Japanese. Then it also has a little bit more explanation of like how to write them actually properly. So it's not only stroke coded, it's also with more information about how to write them properly. Which is something a lot of applications lack, even like very basic applications. And these all make sound. Again, I'm not 100% certain if you can actually hear this properly or not. Because it's the first time that I'm recording this through my PC like this. So that's basically Human Japanese. So what is my experience with Human Japanese? How long have I been using Human Japanese and how was it? So basically I have been using Human Japanese since day one, when I actually decided to start studying Japanese more seriously. I even took a picture of it because I was kind of like thinking, oh, this will mark the beginning of my Japanese language learning journey. Little did I know, 8 years later I would still be studying. But yeah, I started studying with Human Japanese in 2016. I finished the first application and I already bought the intermediate one a couple days after buying the first one. But the intermediate one I never really got around to properly finishing. Basically life got busy, I got busy with other applications, other books, such as Genki and such. So I kind of stopped using the intermediate one and later on I finished that one and I kind of regret not having finished it because the amount of things that you can learn from these applications is a lot, and the quality of everything, of all the text and the sounds and the recordings, it is a very nice quality. It's a very high quality in my opinion compared to what other applications are on the market at this moment. And they also have a quote on their website that Human Japanese is everything you need to get started, and I think I can confirm this. It's what I used to start and it's what I keep recommending people to use as well when they're starting out with studying Japanese. It is probably the best application that you can find. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about the positives. I know I've been pretty positive so far, but yeah. First of all, yes, this is not a free application. However, there is a light version, so if you really want to experience it before buying, you can. But even though it's not free, the quality is really worth it in my opinion. You won't find better quality for this kind of a price. Like the Genki books, by example, are around 3,000, 4,000 Japanese yen. This application, like each one of them, is only around $9, around 10 yen gurai. It is quite cheap and it's basically a book. It's an interactive book. That's the best way to describe Human Japanese. An interactive book. And the quality is really nice, and especially for beginners, it is, in my opinion, really the best way to start studying Japanese. To get you up and running with everything. Another positive is real recordings. Again, not something we can take for granted anymore with all kind of very cheaply made applications with AI voices coming on the market nowadays. I really like that Human Japanese went through the trouble of actually recording everything. Like having actual recordings in the application and not just using an AI voice. Luckily at that time that was not really a thing yet. But yeah, real recordings. That's a plus. That's a big plus. And then the notes. I personally really like this. I don't think many people use it. I don't really know, but yeah. Together with the leveling system, it really is an all-in-one platform and it helps you to keep your motivation up. The leveling system especially really helped me a lot. As somebody who used to play a lot of MMORPG games, getting your level up as high as possible, that was my goal. So having that in a study application, I really enjoyed that. The only thing I wish that it was kind of like an online thing, so you can see a leaderboard with other people or just with your friends. Sadly, that's not possible, but yeah. It still helps for your motivation, to keep your motivation high. And honestly, after 8 years, looking at this application and seeing how well it held up and seeing how many other people are still recommending it as well, I only have a positive feeling with this application. Yes, it is not free and I'm more of a person who prefers free, but still for just a little amount of money, like they also need to get paid and the quality is really worth it. I still can't think of any other resource that is as good as this one. And then time for the negatives, and yeah, this is something that I have to dig quite deep for. For me personally, there are not that many negatives. The only negatives that I have, I kind of already mentioned. The whole progress system, that you cannot take it to another phone, or when you delete the application that your progress is completely gone. That's something that I find kind of disappointing, but on the other hand, it is a one-time pay application. There's no subscription, so you buy it and you own it forever. Like really, 8 years later, and I can still use it completely for free. And the day that we are today, that's not really possible anymore. So yeah, for you to only pay a one-time fee and then expect them to keep your data on a server, like servers are expensive to keep them running the entire time and save a lot of data from everybody who uses the application. So I can understand why they don't want to do that and why that's not an option. Something that they could maybe do is, again, just being able to download a local file of your progress that you can import in another install of the application. That could be a solution. But is it worth the effort for the amount of time that you only need this application for? Because again, this application is really to learn the basics of Japanese. So this application is for beginners. And that's something that really should be taken in mind as well. So not being able to save your progress, it's a negative, but is it really? I guess for most people it's probably not. And another downside, which is not that much of a downside, is that Human Japanese and Human Japanese Intermediate are two separate applications, because that means paying 2 times. But again, the quality is quite high, so I don't think this is an issue, especially for people who want to study Japanese. They start with Human Japanese but realize studying Japanese is not really for me. Then at least they did not spend Nisen yen, but only Sen yen. So it kind of helps for people who are not certain that they really want to study Japanese for the long run. Yeah, that's kind of my view about it. I see it from the point of the developers of that application. Like, yes, they need to make money as well, because the quality that you're getting is still kind of high. It's an interactive book, so compared to buying Genki, it's still a lot cheaper, even if you buy the 2 applications. So my opinion, as I mentioned before, this was my very first application. I basically sat down in my hostel in Japan on my first trip there. I took out my phone and I decided, okay, it's a rainy day today. Let's install some application and try my best to learn some amount of Japanese. Honestly, it is the perfect way to get the basics down. Do I recommend it? Yes, but only when you're a beginner in studying Japanese and don't have a grasp of the basics yet. It's like the first application is very good to learn the hiragana, the whole kana system, learn more about the Japanese language as a whole. The second application is especially helpful if you want to start getting into learning kanji. But yeah, again, I'm not sponsored. This is all my own opinion, my own experience that I'm talking of. As for alternatives, if I would really need to name an alternative, the Genki books. They are more expensive, there's more materials, and if you get the workbook as well, you have a lot more practice, because the application has only has a limited amount of practice that you can do. There is enough to keep you going and to make certain that you don't forget the basics, but if you really want to practice a lot, yeah. And with Human Japanese, you probably still need other applications such as Anki and such to more efficiently keep reviewing the words that you're learning. But yeah, that's about it for this review. I hope you enjoyed it, that you learned something, that you got more of an idea, is Human Japanese for you or not? And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye bye and good luck studying Japanese. Mata ne!